Welcome to another episode of the Crowdfunding Chat. And this is actually the first one of the new year of 2021. And, it's kind of crazy to think that another year has kind of passed, right? Um, I'm going to kind of do a reflection, I would say, a kind of open reflection of what's been happening, what the year looks like, and how I'm kind of conceptualizing the entire year. Well, 2020 was firstly just not what I expected at all, right? And 2020 wasn't really what anyone expected. I actually started off the year in Alaska last year in Alaska before all this COVID stuff hit, with some family and things like that. And then I actually went to CES for um, looking at tech products, looking at crowdfunding products. I was actually there with a company that was going to be crowdfunding their product on crowdfunding, at CES, looking at new cool ideas, looking at projects, looking at like these even this like tree. There was a tree made from screens that was right in the middle of CES, and the leaves were like these bendable screens. And I still just vividly remember how amazing that was and how I was so enthusiastic about 2020 last year and what was going to be happening. And I was thinking about all the crazy possibilities. This was again before all the COVID stuff hit. And so everything was so different, right? And then in late that month in February, I believe, I went to Spain to work with another client for crowdfunding. And again, it was all looking rosy and uphill. When COVID did happen and everything was starting to lock down, I was like, okay, so now what? Now what's going on? But the year brought more opportunities. Right? It brought an opportunity for me to expand the business and kind of make a new niche within the tabletop and board gaming world, something I've always been kind of thinking about wanting to do just because I play games all the time and I love backing crowdfunded games. And so not only was 2020 like a big whirlwind, pretty much, it allowed me to kind of grow in a way too. So after kind of starting that kind of niche last year, um, I really took up with it. I really enjoyed doing it. I created products, I created courses, I like wrote a little book for that. Um, and with crowdfunding in general too, it's grown still. I was worried at first in 2020 what it was going to be like for crowdfunding, right? I was like, okay, well, now COVID's hit, everyone's going to tighten their purse strings, everyone's going to not want to back anything, no one's going to want to launch anything, everything's going to be kind of like closed down, right? Because um let's be honest, like crowdfunding is, if you have extra disposable income, then it's something that you want to spend money on, right? Because you pay for something. It's not even a necessity most of the time. It's you pay money for something and you wait to get it 3 to 6 to 9 months down the line. It's not something you get instantaneously, not like food, water, shelter, things like that, right? So me and other crowdfunding consultants, agencies, marketers, we were all quite worried, to be honest, about crowdfunding and the kind of the state of crowdfunding in general. But what happened in 2020 was kind of incredible, actually. People continued backing crowdfunding projects, like so much so that the actual traffic and funding and revenue that Kickstarter and Indiegogo found on their platform didn't even, decrease, which was again incredible during like a global crisis, a global pandemic where people were kind of facing a lot of hardships. And so that was kind of explosive for me in a way, right? That people were still willing to support others and their creative endeavors and support others and what they wanted to bring to the world and support others in their mission and in their vision to kind of change lives and change the world in their own way, right? And so, you know, I was really excited for this. Um, I was really excited, and I decided to really double down on things that I could see were helping people, right? A lot of people were talking about resources. A lot of people were talking about kind of templates and worksheets and guides and checklists, things that they could, get and use right away in their crowdfunding journey, right? Some people just needed that path and guidance through just like a checklist of, hey, this is what you do in the first week. This is what you do in the second week. This is what happens now. Or guidance of like, hey, what do I do on launch day? What happens on launch day? So I actually took that and created resources, right? I end up building a full resource shop for the Crush Crowdfunding brand where anyone could come and look through the various types of resources available. Like we have ad swipe files, for example. If you want to look at like all the various ads that come on crowdfunding for these projects that end up doing really well, like what do pre-launch ads look like? And so I just started putting everything I had already at my disposal together and putting it out there. Landing pages. What do great landing pages that convert actually look like? Things like I was talking about earlier, like launch day checklists. There's like 20 something things to do on launch day itself. And I felt it was selfish for me to keep all that myself. And so I made sure to, you know, put it out there, put it together and put it out there. It actually took me months to do that. It took me about three-ish, 4 months to put everything together. But it was great though, because once I did put it up, a lot of people actually downloaded them, purchased them, got them. So I'm very excited, and I've actually gotten some people messaging me back already that it's been helpful. So, all of 2020 was like kind of a crazy year, right? I feel like I was able to do things out of that crazy year. I was able to create a lot of resources. I think it was about 20 something resources, and put together like social media stuff, email stuff, landing page stuff, all these different types of resources together and create a full shop. I wrote a book. Right? I wrote a book for marketing and launching board games. I created a short little mini course for tabletop game designers. I created what do you call it? I streamlined my Crush Crowdfunding Bootcamp course, which is what I'm really, really going to be focused now on in 2021, right? Really ramping up the bootcamp and making sure that I'm able to, help as many people as possible. Okay, so let me backtrack there a little bit. Last year and the years before that, I've been working in crowdfunding since 2015 now. So it's been a while in crowdfunding, right? And full time though, I've been working in crowdfunding since 2017. So a little less full time. But anyway, a lot of it's as a consultant, right? There's different types of different ways to kind of sell your work or like price your services and things like that. So I've been previously working with very few and very limited clients for like a high price point, right? Because that's typically as a consultant how you get started. Having 5 clients per month can help you pay the bills if you charge at a high price point. However, as many of you who are on my mailing list know, it's something I struggle with every year. At the end of each year, I kind of do like a little reflection, and a lot of the years I write about the people I have to say no to, and I think about the people I have to say no to, and kind of the ideas I have to say no to, and kind of the dreams I don't get to help, and the entrepreneurs who have such a passion and a fire that they don't know where to go, and I am not in a price point that they can kind of help. And so what I do is what I've decided, at least this year, is that I'm going to go all in on my Crush Crowdfunding Bootcamp and make this price point as accessible to as many people as possible, right? Like I'm making this, I'm really ramping up this group program. So there's people together keeping each other accountable for taking each of the steps of crowdfunding, bouncing ideas off each other, meeting other entrepreneurs too that have the same dreams and aspirations and struggles. And I'm able to reach a wider number of people and honestly like touch more lives, because that's essentially what I feel every single year. At the end of each year, I was meant to do, and at the beginning of each year too, what I was meant to do, like to help as many people as possible. And I know it's kind of jumbled and rambled right now, but at the end of the day, I believe, I was sent here to help, right? To just help as many people as possible, bring their ideas to life, help as many as people as possible understand the step by step that it takes to, build a foundation that allows them to talk about their idea, to build a foundation that allows them to grow their audience. I'm here to kind of help people actually find ways to grow their audience, whoever their audience is, because every audience is so different. Like, find their audience, find the right one, and find the right like people who are going to be raving fans. And the last thing is, like, I believe that I'm here to help people launch, right, their ideas, their dreams, stuff they've been like thinking about for years and months and thinking about in their head. And so that's why at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, it's really early on in the year, I've really decided that in order to make the most impact, I have to kind of forgo all my pretenses, I guess, like forgo everything about being a normal consultant and charging high prices, working very few clients, and do the complete opposite, right? Like, charge prices that are like insane for people to think about, but also it also means that I can reach more people and help more people and talk to more people about crowdfunding. And I have a question here. Dr. Modi Sarkar answered, "I'm new to crowdfunding. Can you explain it briefly?" That's a great question, right? That's a great question. So there's various types of crowdfunding. Firstly, in general, what crowdfunding is that someone, anyone, you have an idea, right? And you bring it out to the world. And people in the world, whoever it is, if they're excited about the idea, they give you money for it, right? You don't go to a bank, you don't go to an angel investor, you don't go to like friends and family and beg for money from them, right? It's not that. It's the world. Your market is the world, right? And in more detail, there's multiple types of crowdfunding. There's things like crowdfunding for personal expenses, right? Like GoFundMe, for example, is a classic example of crowdfunding for personal expenses, because a lot of people go there and say, "Hey, I have these medical bills and I need to crowdfund for them," or "Hey, I need to help someone who's in the hospital pay for their medical bills." So a lot of people go to crowdfunding for that, where they source these funds from a crowd to pay for personal expenses. There's also things like equity crowdfunding, where people give part of their company away for a stake, pretty much give part of their company away for some funds, right? So one of my previous clients, even, they just ran another equity crowdfunding campaign after their normal crowdfunding campaign on what I helped them with. Right, so they gave away shares of their company for some investment. That's also a type of crowdfunding. And the crowdfunding that I do, the crowdfunding that I work on, is called rewards-based crowdfunding. And with this type of crowdfunding, I honestly enjoy the most. I honestly enjoy the most out of all the different types of crowdfunding, because you get to give tangible physical rewards to people, and you get to see how happy and excited they are about getting these tangible and physical rewards, which I really like, right? So for example, for a rewards-based crowdfunding campaign, which is what, again, I specialize in, I work with, if you have a product idea, if you have an idea of like a new cool book or like a new type of slow burning candle, or if you have an idea for like eco-friendly shoes, or you have an idea for a smart water bottle, whatever you have an idea for. Or words-based crowdfunding is someone, you bring the idea to the world, and then people in the world are like, huh, I like it. I'm gonna back it. I'm going to give you money so that you can pay for the inventory, and I will wait 3, 6, 9 months until I get the product. That's pretty much what crowdfunding is, right? People are prepaying for you to buy inventory that you will fulfill to them later, which is kind of a crazy model if you think about it, right? It's kind of crazy. I hope that, by the way, I hope that explains what crowdfunding is. And as I was saying, I think that's a really crazy model, because typically when you think of buying things, you buy things online, in person, right? You typically like go out to the store and you just kind of pay money for something right away. Like you get a chocolate chip cookie, you get it right away. You buy like a couch, you get it right away, right? With online purchases, they're kind of the same thing. You go to sites like Amazon.com, you buy something, you even get that, you can even get that thing like same day delivery, right? Everything's made, everything's like created and sitting in a warehouse. And so crowdfunding by itself as a concept is kind of crazy, right? People are prepaying for your idea and helping you fund that inventory months before they actually get the product, which is insane to me. And I think that idea alone is helping entrepreneurs kind of break into building a business, to be honest. Because before crowdfunding, people had to go to banks, people had to go ask for loans, people had to like put up, huge lines of debt, or put up like a lot of fight pretty much to get funding from banks, from loan sharks, from angel investors, wherever you wanted to go for VCs, right? Wherever you wanted to go to get that initial capital, that initial investment for your idea. But with crowdfunding, it's completely different. You're getting that initial investment, that initial capital, that initial like funding injection to make the product. The most expensive part of it is making the product, right? Way beforehand, which does a few things. Like it decreases the risk for you as an entrepreneur, right? Like instead of spending tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to bring in, purchase all this inventory, put it on a boat and putting it in a warehouse and trying to sell it and hoping that something sells, what you're doing is like flipping that all in his head. And you're saying, okay, let's see if people like it enough to pay for it. And if they do, I'll make it, which just like dramatically decreases the risk of things as an entrepreneur. And as entrepreneurs, like myself included, what we look for is ways to increase revenue and decrease risk. Because if we want to keep going as entrepreneurs, we have to make sure that, we're not risking failure all the time, right? And so again, like crowdfunding just is baffling to me because it makes things so much easier for entrepreneurs. It makes things just that much simpler, right? And also crowdfunding is a way to really kind of test the market too, right? Test the market. A lot of people don't know that with crowdfunding, it's pretty much like a way to gauge if people like the product or not, right? It's not selling right away. It's pre-selling, it's pre-ordering, it's talking to people about a product you want to make without having made it. And so you're really testing the market. You're testing like, who is it that likes my product? Like, how much would they even pay for it? Where are these people coming from around the world, right? And like, are they even willing to buy this? Like, if they're not willing to buy it, why make it, right? And so there's so many things that you're testing out in this crowdfunding phase. There's so many things that you're testing out in this crowdfunding phase too, that just allows you to really, really understand the market, understand your product, tweak things before you take it to market. That's another thing, actually. It allows you to tweak your ideas. Because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we create in a void. We create in like this black box that we build ourselves, right? We're like, okay, this is what I want to make. This is what I want to create, and people are going to like it. And a lot of the times that doesn't work anymore, right? That doesn't work anymore because you have to create in an open atmosphere where people can give you feedback so that you can make little changes so that you have an audience, you have people like totally ready to buy when you do actually launch. And that's what crowdfunding is. Throughout the entire process, you're talking to your fans, you're talking to your consumers, you're talking to your audience right from the get-go and they're giving you feedback right away. Like, ooh, I love this product, but what if it was in red instead of in green, right? If it was in red, I know 300 other people who would love it. And you find out that everyone is talking to you about that exact same thing. Like if it was red rather than green, I'd know 300 people. If 300 people say that to you, that's 9,000 people, right? And a lot of the times, people who don't do crowdfunding don't have that opportunity to ask their fans, to ask their audience what they'd like before they actually put things to the market. And so they miss out on that like X factor of making something people truly, truly, truly want. Yeah, so I guess kind of got a little far from what we started off talking about. I was basically talking about what 2020 was like and kind of like thinking about all the things I was doing in 2020 and all the things that was happening and all the things I was building and creating in 2020 and kind of what 2021 is going to look like. And pretty much what 2021 is going to look like is I'm really focusing on the Crush Crowdfunding Bootcamp, which is, for people who don't know what Crush Crowdfunding Bootcamp is, it's an online coaching program where I take you through the steps that I've used to help other people raise millions of dollars on crowdfunding. I've so far helped people raise $13 million. Last year alone, I helped people raise another $1 million on crowdfunding. And I'm taking in the boot camp, what I do is I, coach people, I teach people to go through the steps, the different phases, the different pillars to take people through to launch. I actually break down the program into 3 different pillars where we learned about building, right? Things that we have to build to have the crowdfunding campaign ready, our assets, what kind of goals we have to set, what kind of platforms we have to use, what kind of research we have to do to understand the market, the competitors, ourselves. We go through another pillar, which I call the grow pillar, where we really talk about the exact launch system that has helped people get funded even on the first day, mostly. The launch system, and we go through audience building, how to find the right audience and how to find the right size of an audience to get you to your goal. And the last thing I go through in the bootcamp is also what I call the launch pillar, which is exactly what it is. We talk about your crowdfunding page, your crowdfunding rewards, your crowdfunding converting like formula. We talk about what you have to do for the 30 days of your launch. We talk about what to do on launch day to get the hype up. We talk about how to get people to back on launch days. We basically talk about all things launch, basically. And so, yeah, that's what I'm focusing on this year because, like I said earlier, like every single year I reflect on that I can't help as many people as I want. And, I figured this is the time, right? There's no better time than now to do what I'm most passionate about. There's no better time than now to be the person I want to be and to help the people I want to help and to do the things I want to do for the people who contact me and get in touch with me and kind of follow me, read my newsletters, read my books, read my blogs, read my content, listen to my YouTube videos and podcasts, right? There's no better time than now. And so this year, if you are looking forward to getting started, if you want to actually get going with your crowdfunding project, with your crowdfunding campaign, get in touch and let's talk about your project and potentially if you'll be a fit for the Crush Crowdfunding Bootcamp. And if you are, I'd love to have you. But, I'm going to just end this little stream here. Thank you so much for listening. I hope everyone has had a great start to the new year. And, I have high hopes for 2021. And thanks. And I will see you next time. If you liked this, please be sure to subscribe, leave comment, and be sure to grab join me in the newsletter because I write to you every single week. Bye.